Please join me in welcoming our first guest speaker, Alex Hill.
I'm in love with the cocoa, and I'm going to tell you why you should be too. Hi, my name is Alex Hill, and I'm the owner of Emerald Coast Coconuts. Just a quick show of hands, who in the room right now has ever had a real coconut before? I'm not talking about the packaged stuff you can buy at the store, but an actual real coconut fresh off the tree. Alright, where'd you have that experience at, sir?
Guatemala.
Guatemala, great. So as you can tell, coconuts are trending around the world. I'd like to tell you guys about my first coconut experience and how it led me to the coconut life. So I had the incredible, not only is there a huge market for coconuts in the world, but there's also a huge demand and a looming global supply. 3/4 of all coconut production in the world occurs in 3 countries. Those countries are India, the Philippines, and Indonesia. Now, this is a huge problem though, because their trees are far past their maturity date and will soon cease to quit producing coconuts. I believe Florida coconuts is the answer to the inevitable downfall of these Asian coconuts. Not only are Florida coconuts in their peak production stage, but the U.S. has the economy and the resources to scale and become a world leader in the multi-billion-dollar coconut industry. Less than 2 weeks later, I returned to South Florida, this time in search of coconut farmers. So I made a relationship with a local farmer, and I began transporting these coconuts from Fort Lauderdale up here to Northwest Florida. My goal was to bring this fun, exciting coconut experience to the Panhandle. Now, we had a rocky start. We started out in Navarre Beach, and in a 6-week period, I was only able to sell 71 coconuts. We started to get a little bit of momentum, though, after securing a contract as a merchant in Hard Rock Village in Destin, Florida. The owners were very reluctant to allow me to sell my coconuts here, but after over-promising that I could sell 1,000 coconuts in a month, they agreed. Luckily, I also over-delivered, because in our first month, we sold over 1,200 coconuts from our little mobile kiosk. There's a picture of it right there. We actually went on to sell over 8,000 coconuts from that little kiosk in a 4-month period. We also experienced a lot of success last year with our wholesale. One of our first wholesale contracts actually happened to be Lulu's, if you guys are familiar with the restaurant in Destin, Florida. We actually texted that picture to Lucy Buffett, Jimmy Buffett's sister, and she immediately agreed, and I think they sold 250 coconuts in the first 3 days that they were with us as a wholesale client. So in addition to our retail and our wholesale, we've discovered many additional opportunities in the coconut industry. So we're currently working on plans right now to franchise our mobile kiosk business model. We want to bring that to other vacation communities throughout the United States. We've also developed a coconut opening tool because last year we broke every single tool on the market. So we already have that developed, and we plan to bring that to market this year as the world's strongest coconut opening tool. In an effort to become sustainable, we actually identified a process which we can take those used coconut husks after the water is consumed, and we can actually turn that into core fiber, which we can then sell to textile companies, as well as cocoa peat, which is a premium mulch which can be distributed to various agriculture industries throughout the state. Because of all this vast opportunities, and because we realized that we had the opportunity to expand farther than just the Emerald Coast, we're currently going through a rebranding phase right now, where we're rebranding ourselves to be known as Florida Coconuts, so that we have a little bit more opportunity than just Emerald Coast Coconuts. Now, it all begins with the humble coconut, but at Emerald Coast Coconuts, it's about so much more than just that. We want to make positively louder. Whether that's through our recycling efforts and our community projects, or by simply encouraging what we refer to as the vacation state of mind. We want to make people happy and bring them that experience. And our mission is to create a memorable experience while encouraging a healthier lifestyle. So we hope that people will remember that and bring it home with them whenever they go back. if they're on vacation or they're at their job. Thank you guys so much for your time, and remember, life is better with a coconut. I'd love to answer any questions that you guys may have. Yes, ma'am.
Alex, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing with us. Have you talked to the folks at Fresh Farm Florida and got some cover in it?
So I have not, but I definitely would be interested in looking at that.
We can help connect you to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yes, sir.
Just like the Florida orange juice, has their voice and their brand, have you reached out to all the Florida growers, and checked out, do they have a voice, do they have a brand, a united brand like Florida Coconuts on a national level or at all? Or?
So there's currently not. Coconuts are very popular. It's almost a commodity and a staple down in South Florida. However, they're mostly local, so they really have no intentions to really to spread that around. But I thought that I wanted to share that with people other than in South Florida. So there are very few farmers down there. I work with they're mostly independent farms. So they have no intention of that. I would like to be the one that brings that and makes it a national thing.
That's a great opportunity to create that brand and be that voice, and establish yourself as that person.
Absolutely, and that's definitely our goal. We're actually trying to work right now. We would like to see the Florida coconut, because Florida is actually the only state in the continental U.S. that can sustain coconut growth. So we would like to see coconuts as maybe a state symbol for Florida as well. So, yes, sir.
Shipping, distribution networks, like these coconuts from all these independent farms.
So for our retail locations, they collect the used coconut husks there. Most people consume them and give them right back to us. For our wholesale applications, we actually deliver every fresh coconut shipments every single week. So we actually receive them in our warehouse in Gulf Breeze fresh every week, and we deliver through all of our wholesale every single week. So basically, it's kind of like an exchange. We bring fresh coconuts and we retrieve their coconut husks that they've collected for us. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, what's the cost of a pallet and what is the shelf life of a fresh coconut?
So according to the FDA, the shelf life is 30 days for young coconuts. And we can fit roughly about 450 on a pallet. And it costs, the shipping, it comes out about a little bit less than 25 cents per coconut on average. Yes,
And
ma'am.
because you also talked about kind of a lifestyle brand associated with coconuts, do you have t-shirts, hats, things like that you sell at your kiosk?
So we do not, unfortunately, they're very strict at Hard Rock Village in what they allow us to do and what they don't allow us to do. However, we are working right now on getting our hashtag Coconut Life, and life is better with a coconut. We want to get some apparel and everything on our website. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
On the topic of supply chain planning and development, how far into production resources and details are you? Because if your marketing is as effective as this demonstration and the other pitches I've seen, then you're going to have a supply problem at some point in time.
Absolutely, it's a great problem to have, right? But so our plans for expansion in the next year or two, we would actually like to start purchasing our own land in Florida. There's been very little research done in the past 50 years on coconuts themselves. So we would not only like to to buy our own farm so we can grow sustainable and lower our costs. We also want to offer opportunities for more research to be done with coconuts because they have so many uses for them. And I believe there's more uses that we haven't yet discovered. So I think that'd be a really incredible opportunity to get some research done as well as ours. And another interesting thing, the citrus industry right now is taking a big hit. However, that parasite that affects citrus does not affect coconuts. So that's maybe an opportunity that we could look at in working with some farmers that previously did citrus and maybe getting them to convert over to growing coconuts for us. Yes, sir.
What's been your biggest obstacle so far, and how have you overcome it?
Our biggest obstacle is absolutely logistics. Coconuts are very heavy. They do have a shelf life. They don't need to be refrigerated, but they do have specific handling. I mean, if you leave them in the back of a big semi for 2 days at 120 degrees, they will start to deteriorate fairly quickly. So that's definitely been our biggest obstacle. Another issue that we ran into is the seasonal nature of it. People don't generally buy coconuts whenever it's 40 degrees outside, like we had this winter. So obviously that's another option, and that's why we started looking at other opportunities with the cocoa peat, the core fiber, the coconut opening tool, apparel, and things like that to kind of bring make it less seasonal. Because another big obstacle we have with the seasonal nature is trying to build a really great team of employees. It's hard to say, hey, I'll see you in 4 months, when it gets warm. Most people don't like that. So that's another big obstacle we've had to deal with. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Coming from a family that eats coconuts every week,
We're also offering several internships right now at UWF for a logistics team. So we are doing mass hiring right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Alex, having recently headed back into Florida from states up north, they have at the Welcome Center orange juice. So why can't you just say something like, Florida, we're not just orange juice, we're coconuts, and have them
That's
have,
definitely my goal. That sounds an amazing idea.
so.
That's what we're trying to do. We're really hoping that if we can get it as a state symbol, I would love to see coconuts on license plates, the next couple of years. If we can get it on a state symbol, I think that would really help with marketing and especially since the citrus industry is experiencing so much difficulty right now. I think that'd be a fun way to rebrand it and get more people to visit Florida even. You don't have to go to Costa Rica to have that fun experience. You can drink a coconut, right here on the Pensacola beach.
So along those lines, reach out to me or get a hold of Marcia if you don't have my number, and I know that we should touch with. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
We're talking soon. Yes, sir.
What is the average coconut cost? I have one other follow-up question on that.
All right, so the average coconut, they go anywhere locally in South Florida, anywhere from 80 cents to, you're talking about per
Well, I was thinking I'm sorry, your retail customer.
Okay, retail customer, we retail our coconuts for $10. That includes all taxes. And we do wholesale for anywhere from like $4 to $5 on average.
Have you guys ever thought about, because I've seen it in Jamaica and some other places where they do the pina coladas and
So a lot of our restaurants and the hotels, they do beverages in their coconuts. For us, for one, we don't have a liquor license, so you cannot get one of those as a mobile vendor because our mobile kiosks are on wheels. We're not able to do that. That's probably our most popular question is, does it have alcohol? Unfortunately, alcohol doesn't grow on trees. But I highly encourage people to add their own. Coconut water actually does prevent and cure hangovers. So a lot of our wholesale, they'll do pina coladas or just, they make some pretty fun, unique drinks that they'll put in there. So. Yes, sir.
What prevents the Asian market from dominating the crops?
So the Asian markets, those 3 countries, that is one of their largest exports. So they would the coconut farmers would have to give up years of production in order to grow more efficiently in the future. And frankly, most of those countries, they don't have the economy to support that. So they can't really give up. It takes about 5 to 6 years when you plant a coconut palm before it starts to bear coconuts. And so they can't give up that 5 years of production in order to grow more efficiently in the future. So their trees were actually planted back almost a century ago. About 80 years ago, they planted them around World War II. So their coconut palms produce, on average, each tree will produce about 40 coconuts a year. Here in Florida, our trees produce upwards of 200 coconuts per tree every single year. So we definitely have an advantage there of being able to produce far more than they are. Yes, sir.
You obviously know a lot about coconuts. Can you just talk a couple minutes about what it looks like in the next 12 months, the next 36 months? What are you trying to get done right now?
So the next 12 months, we are opening up our location back up at Harbor Walk Village. We do have plans right now. We're going to do the coconut boat. We'll be on the water at Crab Island. We're also working on 2 other retail locations, which we hoping to open in May, one in Panama City and another one in Orange Beach. So that's definitely a priority for us right now is getting those other 2 retail locations opened up. And we're also really trying to expand with our wholesale. So we're looking for a lot more hotels, restaurants, resorts, beach services to add to our wholesale clients throughout the state of Florida. So that's definitely another big thing we're trying to do right now.
So why not 10 more locations or 20 more locations?
Well, another big thing is we are limited. I've been bootstrapping this pretty much by myself since we've started. We are looking for investors this year, so we are trying to bring on more capital right now so that we can expand more quickly. However, right now we just don't have the capital to expand to 10 locations. But we definitely like to get to that point. And that's where the franchise comes in. because being able to offer a franchise opportunity and allowing other people to carry on our business model where we can focus on wholesale and our local retail. Does that answer your question?
So I really like the Beach of Coconut that you sent to Lucy about it. That made me think, are you doing anything, or do you thought of doing anything to sort of brand the coconuts before you serve them? I'm sure you can't paint every one like that, and it probably wouldn't be cost effective, but, some sort of like a physical brand or something on the coconut.
So it's actually funny, we were on the way up there. The idea hit me when I was on my way to the restaurant, and Alvin's actually charged me about $60 to airbrush that. And they told me that it couldn't be done, and I was like, well, how much money would it take you to make it happen if you figure out a way to make it happen? And it does rub off very, very easily. So we've had some face painters out of Hardwalk Village that they've tried painting it, and we've used various things to try to brand it in our way. Some of my employees, they'll draw the face for, I'm trying to think of the Wilson off of Castaway. They'll draw that face on it, and for marketing and fun stuff like that. However, we never really found anything that sticks, and we don't want to puncture the husk at all, because then it starts to lose some of those benefits. Whenever you puncture it, it starts to deteriorate quicker. However, we learned early on that, especially in restaurants on the beach, it's fine, you can set your coconut in the sand. Whenever you're in a restaurant, coconuts roll, they're round. So we needed to find something to hold them, and it's actually really hard to find coconut holders, so there's not really such a thing. So we kind of developed our own. We do make those out of wood, so what we're going to start doing this year is actually start branding those holders with our logo and with our hashtags and everything. Also possibly, the wholesale, the restaurant, we can put their logo on there as well to kind of brand it in that aspect.
But just could you use a branding layer?
On a coconut, if you did, it would puncture the husk, and then it would start to deteriorate really quickly. Almost like an apple. If you kind of take a bite out of an apple, it starts to brown really quickly. So it's very similar to that. Yes, Marcy.
Okay, so I have a question for you. You were mentioning about the floor and the cocoa heat. What percentage of revenue do you think you could get from that?
We haven't done it yet, so that is an option we're still exploring. We really want to do it for the sustainability aspect of it. We do want to be a renewable company and a sustainable company. And if we can help the agriculture industry, that's a huge benefit. So we definitely want to make sure that it covers our costs of producing it and turning it into it. But we're not necessarily looking for huge profit margins off of that. More looking to just kind of be part of the agriculture industry and giving back and helping them be more sustainable as well. So, yes, go ahead.
To that point, what is your current entity structure? And have you considered, as Dave was talking about, a B Corp, that's kind of a new and possibly kind of stringent process to go through?
So we are currently a limited liability company. Definitely that's considering tax purposes right now, but as we are trying to bring on several investors, we're not really looking for venture capitalists at this point. We're looking for people that are interested in having an equity investment in the company and are interested in the longevity of it. So whenever we do bring on those new members, we will look at restructuring that. But simply right now, since I am the only owner, we just do a single member LLC for structure.
Absolutely, and just in part that agricultural piece and sustainability piece was where I was curious if you would investigate. And if you're friends with Jim Sparks, I'm sure you would get the B Corp structure, if that provides you beneficial.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned about certain products you can't sell because of the store conflicts, but have you thought of other products that you could sell at your stand to make them more profitable? So, for example, maybe it's you see at the airport the coconut candies and whatever. And granted, it may not be your own product, but it's an opportunity just to have some additional products that you can make revenue off of, since you have the stand and people sitting there.
I have considered it, and I would love to offer t-shirts or apparel or something of that nature, she suggested. However, we kind of focusing just on coconuts. We realize, especially with our business model, instead it is a mobile kiosk, it's really quick, it's really fast, and I can tell you for most of the day, those girls out there have a line anyways. With the coconuts, we sell on average out there roughly 100, 150 a day, so they stay really busy out there. They do take a little bit of a time to open, and I have actually brought some with me, so if anybody would like to try a fresh coconut, we actually just got back from the farm yesterday, so I have some back there, and I can show you guys how we open that, and the time it takes, so that's why we're kind of just trying to focus, we're trying to be the best at coconut water. Yes, Bob?
How much money are you looking for?
How much money are we looking for? We're currently looking for $100,000 capital right now.
All right, see you next class, I'll bring you the best.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Alex, thinking back when you were kind of growing up, et cetera, was there a family member or a mentor, or who got you to begin thinking like an entrepreneur, and how did that?
So I think my first experience as an entrepreneur, we had a family friend of the church that was moving. She was a single mother, and I was 8 years old, and my mom said, "Hey, you're coming to help her move." Fine. I went there, and for helping her move, she gifted me this huge sombrero, like an authentic Mexican sombrero. And I was like, "What am I gonna do with this? Like, I don't want this." I didn't want to be rude though. And actually, we were eating at a Mexican restaurant, a couple months later, and I asked the restaurant owners, I was like, "Do you guys want to buy a sombrero?" And they did. They gave me $50 for it. And to this day, that sombrero, that's their birthday sombrero. And they've taken thousands of photos. There's thousands of photos all over the restaurant with that sombrero that I sold them, 15 years ago. So that was kind of my first experience in entrepreneurship, and it kind of gave me the bug. And then, whenever I was deployed, my first deployment was to Afghanistan, and I had limited electricity, so I started reading some books, and that first Think and Grow Rich was one of the first books I read, and that kind of just, ignited that spark, and I knew that's what I want to do, with my career after I left the service. So that's kind of what got it started and what kept me on that path. Yes.
There's a few questions in the back.
You mentioned your suppliers in South Florida, and them suppliers, what is their business model? Who do they sell to? What's their profit?
So most of the farmers I work with, their main source of revenue and income, their business structure is actually mostly landscaping. So they grow a lot of palms down there, and so because they have so many palms, they also have excess of coconuts, so it's just kind of an additional revenue for them. But their main focus is on the landscaping down there. So that's why it's very difficult. There's nobody that really grows coconuts just to sell the coconuts. Yes, Bernard.
What have you found to be a solution to maintain the shelf life of coconuts as much as possible?
To maintain what?
The shelf life. So you're transporting them from Fort Lauderdale, you say, keeping them in the back of the truck and kind of help them deteriorate even faster. What have you found to be a solution?
So on several occasions, I have driven myself, through the night, to bring them back, to limit the amount of time they're stuck in the back of a truck. But regularly we use private couriers as opposed to kind of the national transportation companies in an effort to get it from the time they were picked off the trees. The private carriers will drive straight through, 10-hour drive, 641 miles from my warehouse to the farm. They'll drive straight through and we'll have those coconuts from the tree to my warehouse in about 12 hours. So just kind of limiting and cutting down on the time that they do spend in that truck is the biggest thing that we've seen to extend the shelf life. And that has really significantly improved the quality and the shelf life of them by doing that. Also, we do keep them in an air-conditioned, climate-controlled warehouse. So that definitely extends the shelf life as well. Yes, sir.
So your model now is an immediate consumption out of the coconut. And then are you ever going to have to supply coconut water, other bags for retail?
So it's hard for us to compete on a retail or on a packaged model because they are getting their coconuts from Asian countries and they're getting them for pennies on the dollar as compared to what I'm paying. Now the problem with that is there is a shelf life of coconuts. It is 30 days. So the packaged coconut water, although it is 100% coconut water, they do have to add preservatives and sweeteners to keep that flavor. And once you remove it from that husk right there, it actually loses many of the nutritional benefits that it has. So coconut water is actually sterile whenever it's inside of that husk. Actually, modern filtration systems were designed after they examined the coconut husk, and it's kind of what led to that. So once you remove it from that husk, it kind of loses a lot of those benefits. It doesn't taste as good, in my opinion, and also it's not cool to take a picture with a plastic bottle. That's a cool photo opportunity right there. So that's kind of our thing. It's kind of about the experience of it. We have a lot of people that just buy the coconut. I just want to take a picture. Like, well, $10 a picture, So yeah, that's why we kind of stick to just selling straight out of the coconut.
Have you ever lived in Puerto Rico? Knowing their current situation is providing
We have not. So transporting coconuts, especially through the water, is very expensive. Coconuts on average weigh anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds each. So I just brought back 500 coconuts, weighed about a little over 3,000 pounds for 500 coconuts. So just the cost of shipping is just really ineffective. That's why if you ever see the white coconuts that kind of look like a cone, those coconuts typically come from Thailand, and the reason they do that, they have a machine that shapes the majority of that coconut husk down, where then they actually dip it in a preservative, typically formaldehyde or something similar, and then they shrink wrap it, and that's how they reduce that weight to ship it over to various countries. So without doing that ourselves, it would be very hard to compete price-wise on being able to export those other places. Yes, ma'am.
On your research piece, have you ever talked to IFAS, which is what the Florida legislature funds with the University of Florida to do all the agriculture research on the declining orange crop and future crops? We have an IFAS extension office in Milton. Have you ever talked to them?
I have not, but it sounds like I absolutely need to.
Yeah, they might be able to
Thank
help.
you.
Yes.
I need to get your business card. Yes, ma'am.
She has a question right here for you. She's been trying to get you.
Sorry, just kind of on a different track. Do you know about, it's kind of a twofold question, I guess. Do you know about how much water is in each coconut, and have you had any issues with consistency on that level? Like, does different size coconut or different weight need a different amount of water? Do you guarantee any kind of?
So no, we would typically say, and we have tested this numerous times because people are typically in disbelief whenever we tell them. But there's anywhere from 24 ounces to upwards of 48 ounces of water in each coconut. The ones I brought today are actually a little bit smaller, and people tend to think that the bigger the coconut, the more water is in it. But it actually kind of works the opposite way. The coconut shells are all roughly the same exact size, so most of them contain roughly the same amount of water in them. Whenever they get bigger, which Florida coconuts are known to be very large as compared to coconuts produced in other countries, when they get bigger, it's just the husk getting bigger, and they're really just harder to open for us, to be honest. But everybody's like, oh, I want the bigger one, you know. I'm like, well, there's less water in it, but absolutely, whatever you like. So yeah, so that's definitely a thing. But roughly, and a lot of people, there's no way that there's that much in there, so we'll bring out some cups and overfill all these cups, and well, there's still some left in there, so here's one set. Yes.
Do you think it's a sustainable solution for straws, just because I know that like plastic straws are starting to become much less popular in like the environmental communities and like the visual communities?
Absolutely. So we have looked. Unfortunately, we have not made a switch to anything other than plastic straws or found a better alternative yet. We did stop. A lot of people like to put little umbrellas on there, but we kind of quickly realized that people just kind of take those and throw them on the ground and litter. And especially from where we sell at, it's close to water, it's close to beaches, and those umbrellas just really end up on the beach or in the water. So we stopped doing the umbrellas. We still use plastic straws. However, we would love to find an alternative to that because we definitely don't want straws ending up in the ocean either. So definitely something we're looking to find an alternative to, though. Yes.
So, Cynthia mentioned earlier that a lot of times companies can present more than once, and if all of us are in the same room again 3 to 5 years from now, kind of how do you envision your company going? Like, what should we bring to get there?
So we definitely want to be the world leader in coconut production because in the next 5 to 10 years, those countries that are producing 95% of those coconuts, they are going to cease to produce coconuts. And it's going to take them anywhere, 5, 6, 7 years before they can start even producing coconuts again. So the demand isn't going to go away in that period. So somebody kind of needs to pick up the ball. Also, they're not doing any of that research to kind of farther the use of coconuts. So I want to take advantage of that as well. So definitely my goal is, like I said, I would love to see coconuts on license plates in Florida. I think that'd be really cool, but also just kind of making it more well known. Coconuts are the healthiest thing that nature produces. The benefits, I'm sure, especially ladies in here, you can use coconut for everything, your hair, your teeth, your skin, it really helps everything. So not only do we only use that as a platform to promote the positivity, but we also want to encourage that healthier lifestyle. So that's kind of why we want to push it and make coconuts trending more in the United States. I think Brazil, they open over 1 million coconuts a day over there. A lot of these coastal or tropical countries, they're consuming coconuts on a regular basis. It's a staple in their diet, and they're typically a lot healthier as well. So I would kind of like to promote that throughout the United States and make it known that we do grow coconuts here in the United States. They are domestic, and we can definitely make that bigger and louder. So that is our goal in the next, like you said, 3 to 5 years. We'd like to see that as a bigger thing across the United States, of the United States just consuming more coconuts in general in their diet.